Hello, students. Good evening, everyone. Let's wait for ma'am to join. Uma Harati, madam. Meanwhile, just wanted to know, curious, are you all looking forward to crack UPSC or you are just looking forward to success tips? Anybody here with UPSC ambition? Crack, okay. Okay. Success tricks, okay. Oh my God, I have to be careful with all these people, students. These people become big collectors and IAS officers. They need to help us. Will you help us once you become collectors and officers? Okay. It depends. Abhinav, I have to be careful with Abhinav. So once you become, so you crack UPSC and become an IAS officer, who do you want to serve? What is the main line that you want to serve? Say poverty, education. What is that you want to serve? Education. Okay. Mm. Increasing opportunities for rural students. For your caste discrimination. That's sad. Journey to find yourself. So
Yeah,
Sneha will stop corruption. Okay. Education to tribal people. Raj, is Uma Bharti here?
yeah. Very good evening, Humarati. Thanks for accepting the invitation.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Maharti. This is Anuradha. Very
Thank
glad and thanks for accepting this platform. We have more than probably 20, 30,000 students. We'll be sending this to all of them. So glad that you have accepted. You can see in the chat section what people want to do after they crack IAS. They want to do work on, say, human rights, education, and so many other things that they want to see, actually. So everybody is looking forward to, what you will tell them how to prepare. That's what, before you came, I was just asking the purpose why they are here. They want to understand how to prepare for the next steps. So thank you so much. Over to you.
Jashwant Wilson.
Jashwant, take it over,
Yeah,
Jashwant.
yeah. So hi guys, I'm Joshwant. I'm working as a student engagement officer at Blackbox. So Blackbox has been in the industry for 12 years, working with various institutions and students across the country in empowering employability and employment. So our main mission, Blackbox mission, is for students to develop and gain knowledge. Our beloved CEO, Mrs. Anuradha Tota and Mr. Rajkumar are also on the call. And today's guest is Mrs. Uma Kumarti. Maharti is a dedicated civil servant currently serving as Assistant Secretary in one of the ministries at Government of India in New Delhi. Before this, she held the position of Assistant Collector in Vikarabad district, Telangana, where she actively engaged in district administration and public service delivery. Uma Harati belongs to IAS, Indian Administrative Service, and is committed to contributing meaningfully to governance and policy implementation at both state and central levels. Now, I would like to welcome our guest, Ms. Uma Harati, ma'am, and we would like to hear about you in your own words, ma'am.
uh, Thank you, Jashwant, for your kind words, and thank you, the entire team, for inviting me. As you have introduced, I'm Uma Harati. I got into the civil services through 2022 examination. I am still under training, so I'm currently in the last leg of my training. So I believe I'm here to share my preparation strategy mainly, so that others who are preparing can get some insights based on my preparation. So, am I properly audible? You
Yeah,
are.
you are not.
Okay.
So today's agenda could be that, I could ask you questions and you could, so basically it is about preparation and everything. So the first question that we had in our mind is, could you describe what inspired you to choose UPSC over the traditional career path? Was it like a moment that you decided to choose it, or was it like a series of things which happened to you that made you realize that?
Neither actually.
And
So
then,
after graduation, so I graduated in civil engineering from IIT Hyderabad.
okay,
Mr. Rajkumar is my senior from college.
okay,
So I had a rough idea that I should prepare for civil services when I was in college, but I wasn't completely sure whether this is something I should do. Uh, and but I couldn't see myself as a civil engineer as a civil engineer. It wasn't a sudden decision, though it was at the back of my mind. And in fact, even after graduation, I took considerable amount of time to finally decide that this is what I'm going to do and spend my time with. So, and my father, he is in the police department, so he was kind of always he would talk about the service and the kind of work that I would get to do, the kind of impact that I would be given opportunity to make. So that way, a lot of things contributed, nothing in specific.
so was he your role model in your life? Like, who were the role models that you've taken up in your life?
Right. There's no single role model. Definitely, my father was my greatest source of inspiration and motivation, but I tried to learn whatever I can from a lot of people. There's nobody in specific, but everybody, I'd say.
Right, right. So, what did a typical day during preparation look like? During that struggle, like how did, from when you wake up to you sleep, how did, how was your mindset? What did you go through? If you could give us a little insight into that.
Right. Uh, so, as you might know, I cleared this exam in my fifth attempt. So, there were a lot of attempts in which I couldn't clear.
Hmm.
Though I was studying, see, I was always studying. In my first attempt to fifth attempt, I was spending a lot of hours, no doubt. But in my initial attempts, I was like wandering aimlessly. I didn't have a proper strategy, although I was reading, studying all day, putting in the hours, being disciplined, everything. But I didn't have a proper understanding of the exam, of the syllabus, of what is demanded. Uh, but eventually I figured that part out. So I used to study at least for 8 to 10 hours. I would put in consistently. So I would divide my day into before lunch and after lunch. I would do some subjects in the morning and some subjects in the afternoon, and at least one part of the day was completely dedicated to optional. Initially my optional was geography, and later I switched to anthropology in this attempt. So whatever my optional was, half of my day was definitely dedicated to optional, and half of it was for GS for the rest of the thing. And I would generally slot my time into pieces. So there's this Pomodoro technique 2010. So what I used to do was I modified it slightly. I used to have a app on my phone in which there was 50 minutes study interval and then 10 minutes break, 50 minutes, 10 minutes break. So I would only study and do my work in this interval periods. So initially, like in my initial attempts, I would sit for like 3 hours at a stretch, and then that is all I could productively do. After 3 hours, sitting for 3 hours at a stretch, after that, there's hardly you can concentrate.
Hmm.
But later, I figured out that the best way to go about it is to divide your time into small intervals and work in a focused way in that intervals. And for 10 minutes, I used to take a break.
Right. So, ma'am, another just leading doubt is that so when you studied during that intervals, did you have a goal that in this interval I'll complete this, or you just went with the flow of
Correct.
just
That is very important. I always, when I started doing this interval method, this interval method works only when you have like specific goal for that
Hmm.
interval. So sometimes it could be, okay, finish this unit
Hmm.
or read this part and understand this, cover these many current affairs.
Hmm.
Whatever it was, there was a specified goal. So see, like if let's say if I'm doing anthropology for like 4 hours, I decided to give four intervals to it, then I would know like what all am I going to cover in this four
Hmm.
intervals.
Hmm.
Generally, it would be in the form of, okay, I should prepare content for these many PYQs, or I should, let's say, if it's entirely fresh, then it would be like cover this theory in the next two intervals. You read from it, do anything from it, but by the end of two intervals, I should be able to produce a 200-word write up on it.
Okay. So another leading question that I have, ma'am, I think it'll help everyone. So there are no certain set of books for UPSC as such, right? So there's no defined syllabus. It's not something that. So what is your go-to, or what would you tell students to look at? Um,
Correct. So that's not entirely true. If you look
hmm,
at the main syllabus, it's very specific, very detailed.
okay.
And this was a mistake, in fact, I did in the initial attempts. I would think that everything is under the syllabus of
Hmm,
UPSC, and so therefore I should just read everything and never mind the syllabus. But
hmm,
that's very wrong. The syllabus is very specific. Let's say there is a particular topic in the syllabus. There's a
hmm,
topic called mobilization of resources in the GS3 paper. You may
hmm,
not, for somebody who's fresh into the preparation, he or she may not understand what is this mobilization of resources mean. In that case, what you should do is you have these topic wise PYQs. You know, some coaching or somebody must have segregated previous year's questions and slotted them topic wise. So you should just pick up that topic's PYQs to get a contour of that sub topic.
hmm.
That way you will know what is UPSC going to you'll first understand what the topic is about, and then you'll also understand, okay, what all is UPSC expecting that you should know about this topic.
Right. Right.
And after that you can just type maybe in Google, mobilization of resources UPSC GS3, just that
Right.
they'll some content will show up.
Right. Yeah.
So this is how you should prepare. You should be very specific to the syllabus topic. Take a
Right.
syllabus topic, get a sense of it, understand what is it they are asking. You
Right.
can go read from anywhere you want. It
Right.
doesn't matter. But once you're done reading whatever you wanted to read, you
Hmm.
should have some clarity on that topic and write a 200-page write-up.
Okay, so what you tell students is that once you just blankly, if you can write about a topic for 200 words, that means you have some idea on that. That's the measure,
Mm,
right? Metric.
right.
So, the next one I wanted to ask is, do you believe in luck, or do we create our own destiny through choices? So, a lot of people sometimes will be like, if it's written for you, it'll come to you. And some people are like, that's not true. So, what would you think?
I really don't know. I have no answer to that question.
Right, right.
Things just happen. That's it.
So you've mentioned about, the five attempts you've given, right? So what do you feel was the lowest point in your journey, and what helped you bounce back? So you would have gone through a lot of struggles, a lot of family, relatives, this, mental health, so much. So what do you think is the lowest point?
I think the lowest point was I went till the interview stage in my third attempt,
Hmm.
and then I failed my fourth prelims. So
Hmm.
I think that was the lowest point. Uh, but then it also turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because that was the time that I shifted to anthropology optional. It
Right.
gave me that time. Failing prelims gave
Okay.
me time to
Hmm.
switch to another optional and start from the scratch. Because
Hmm.
right from my first attempt, I was clearing my prelims and going to the mains.
Right.
Even I was in that cycle.
Right.
that fourth attempt gave me, failing in the fourth attempt gave me the time to switch. But initially it was very, very bad in the sense that I had to like come back from it. There's nothing specific that helped me, but then my husband was already in the service by then. He had just cleared in that third attempt where I failed to clear, he had cleared the exam. So he motivated me, and honestly, I didn't have any other choice. Like, I didn't have a plan B. So I
Right,
have to continue to work on
right.
it.
That's great. So, what advice do you have for students who don't know what they want to do yet? So, for example, just after graduation, you thought that civil services, I mean, sorry, civil engineering, that is not for you, right? So, what do you feel that, there'll be people just after graduation who feel they don't know what they want to do? What would you suggest or advise?
I think they should just take some time, figure out what is it they want, explore whatever they want to. If they can maybe intern, like many government organizations, they let you intern now. If you
Hmm.
really want to, get a hang of how government functions, or just attach yourself with any civil society organization to see, go into the field. I mean, just explore. Take time, explore, and then make your own decision. Nobody is going to come and make a decision for you. At
Right,
the end of the day, it's you who makes the decision, and you have to like deal with whatever comes out of it.
right. Yeah. So also, if someone doesn't get a job after graduation, how should they look at that phase of life? That should be a difficult part because other people might be going through that same routine in life, whereas you're stopped at this point. That's not the end point, but at this point, that's how they'll feel, right?
Uh,
So,
So I was unemployed for a lot of time after graduation. It didn't. I had another goal in mind, which was a civil services examination. It did.
huh,
I did feel demotivated because everybody was like in good positions and going
yeah,
ahead while I was stuck in this preparation. But
right,
see, at the end of the day, you should keep telling yourself that you're working for something. You're working towards
something, yeah,
something, be disciplined, and have a peer group that supports each other. I had an amazing peer group where we supported each other through such times.
So
like
did
they were
you
also
have
trying,
any one say did you have any
yeah,
social pressure when you were unemployed and still trying?
Uh, I had social pressure, but I was fortunate to have parents who didn't let that pressure reach me.
Okay.
But more than social pressure, it was the internal pressure I put on myself. I was very insecure. I was very underconfident and demotivated because I was not clearing the exam. I was failing repeatedly. So it was kind of a pressure that I put on myself from inside, and that is the pressure I had to deal with in order to stay sane and move forward.
So was that pressure helpful to you? Probably.
Maybe a little bit, but mostly it was harmful.
Okay. All right, go on.
right.
Just
So another question is that in such a stressful environment, how did you take care of your mental health? Like, was it general journaling, or do you listen to a lot of music, or do you take walks?
So this was a very important part of my preparation to, take care of my mental well-being. So I would play sports. Like I started playing badminton back then. I would do a bit of yoga. I would play with my pet. So there were a lot of things that I was doing consciously to take care of my mental health.
Hmm.
And because if you're in a good mental state, you will be able to prepare well.
Right.
I don't know what helped in my preparation, but I can tell for sure that dedicating 1 hour for sports helped me the most.
Daily.
I really don't know if my doing practicing papers helped or like studying so many hours helped, but I can tell you that 1 hour I gave for
Right.
my sports definitely made it made me a more confident person. It made me it just helped me help with my mental state.
Right. It's like meditation, right? When you play it, did you do it daily, ma'am? Did
Yes,
you do?
every day I would play something or the other.
Other,
Done
right,
sometimes I would play badminton. The point being, it's very, very important that
right.
you have some activity that takes your stress off. It's physical activity, then the benefits are immediate, I think.
So, just now you talked about your peer groups, right? So, are there any important family members or friends that helped you throughout the journey, or is that peer group which you talked about like they were also trying to crack?
So I had a peer group where everybody was preparing together. So each of
Okay.
us cleared the exam. It's at a different stage. Some cleared early,
Yeah.
some late.
Yeah.
Those who
Yeah.
cleared early helped others.
Others.
But
Okay.
in the beginning, we all started at the same place. We were
Hmm.
supporting each other and rooting for each other. And
Hmm.
once they cleared, like my husband, of course, they supported us.
Hmm. So it's always like the people with the journey, right? It's always like the people. So do you reflect that back on like, the journey was better because of the people with you?
Definitely. Good peer group makes all the difference.
Right. So, how did you handle social distraction and all of that that has been there coming up, like in the world of reels, likes, and constant updates?
So,
Um,
see, maybe some people can do it in moderation or whatever, but I didn't want to deal with that also. I was just off any kind of social media. In fact, I was not using even WhatsApp back then. There was only Telegram that I think I was using back then.
huh,
Some channel, some uh, like chat thing that is also only to stay in touch with my peer group because I was
yeah,
preparing from home.
right.
So I needed that. So that's it. Otherwise, no Instagram, no Facebook or whatever.
So
Nothing.
that
Nothing.
helped you, mom?
Yes, I think first of all, there are two reasons. One is that yes, of course, did not want any kind of distraction and all. But then it was also coming out of my insecurity. I just didn't want to see what other people are doing, and then so
Right.
much
Yeah.
noise.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That's fair.
that would lead to a lot of comparison, and then all
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was just telling. Like, comparison is a trap, right? Especially when your friends are abroad and all.
correct.
So I wanted to ask how you.
So I kept myself off social media completely.
So when we talked about, when others are doing something, you should be focused on your goal, right? So nowadays, when we look at others, we look for instant gratification, right? So like, do you believe waiting patiently and persistently trying to achieve that goal after getting that will give you more of a kick, more of a
I don't know.
gratification?
I wouldn't call it kick. What I had after clearing this was relief, immense relief that it came to an end. And gratification, see, that's a very powerful motivator. So that's why I used to have like daily goals, those
Hmm,
interval goals, weekly
hmm,
goals. That
hmm.
itself was gratifying. Being
Right,
able to clear your own goals,
right,
very gratifying. And once you get into that habit, it helps you like keep moving forward.
right.
So
So you're going somewhere.
that instant gratification, you should just look for it in the small goals you keep for yourself on a
Right.
daily basis, interval or hourly basis, or whatever way you want to see it.
Right. Yeah. Um, also, there are three things. What do you think is more important, hard work or talent or the mindset you have?
I think all of them are important. How can one,
Yeah.
how can you be without?
But there's a famous thing where there'll be like, sometimes you see talented people and you see a hard worker, but there'll always be that question as to what is the ratio of talent you should have before doing this and how much hard work. So when you see a guy with talent, but if he doesn't have hard work, like this.
I neither have the experience nor the data set to answer that question in any
Right,
reasonable way. So
right,
in my opinion, all of those aspects are important.
that, that's that. Um, Another question that I have is that if you could go back and talk to your 21-year-old self, what would you say? What would you give tips, or what is the thing that you would like to say?
So first of all, like to not be so hard on myself.
Right.
You know, people find their way or find their passion or whatever in their own time. So there's so
Hmm.
much social pressure to settle at a certain age, or so
Yeah.
much social pressure to clear some exam in, X number of attempts or whatever. So we tend to like accept all those pressures and internalize them and be so hard on ourselves. I would
Hmm.
say like all of that is, I I would say not to like buy into
Yeah.
that so much. Take it light. But second thing is to understand. See, any problem that you're trying to solve, even if you look at this UPSC exam, it is also a problem that we are trying to solve for
Right.
our career. So have that problem solving attitude. Like understand what this exam is about. What is the syllabus? What is that they're asking? How do I clear it? What is the strategy? Do I have my own strategy? And how sure if I stick to this strategy, what is the chance that I will clear it? So this kind of, as most a lot of engineers, even myself being an engineer, this is, I think this is the way you should approach a problem or an exam in this case. But unfortunately, I did not do that. I didn't try to understand the exam or get a sense of how to go about it. I would just read, that's it. Read and study and whatever was thrown at me, whether it was from a coaching or whether it was from anything. So I would avoid doing that. I would try to understand the exam and then be very sure as to how to clear it.
Hmm. Right. So, both in the exam way and also like any tips in life as to your 21-year-old that you would give.
No, it's nothing in specific,
Yes.
but if you have a problem at hand,
Huh.
understand the problem and approach it from a problem solving attitude. Like I see a lot of people, I think I was also one of those who saw UPSC as something beyond an exam. So when you are
Hmm.
an aspirant trying to crack this exam, you should treat it like an exam.
Hmm.
How you treat JE, for example. I did
Hmm.
not have so much difficulty clearing the JE exam, but maybe
Hmm.
because I treated it only as an exam that I
Hmm.
needed to crack. But when
Hmm.
it came to UPSC, it came with a lot of this, making it a larger than life thing. It was a mistake. This should you should treat until you clear the exam. You should treat it as an exam and put all your energy into how do you clear this exam, how do you get more marks. That
Right.
ruthless attitude should be there.
Right. So, ma'am, a strong thing that what we go through at this age, what I'm facing right now, is trying to find your passion. You told, try exploring, but there's also pressure from everyone at this point saying, you have to do this, you have to go there, you have to do that. So, finding that is a little hard, or you don't even know if that is until you maybe tried it. So, what would you tell, or like, what would your thing be like? So if we can have a goal that we can set, then we can start working on it, right? But trying to find that passion, like at least trying to make everyone else say, I want to go to this, I'll try it, maybe I can do it. It's a little hard. What would you tell, ma'am?
I think, see, there's no shortcut, no. You will not like realize your passion until you explore a few things and maybe like, so you should. And it's, see, you can explore more things when you're already in one thing. Like let's say you're already working
Hmm.
in something.
Hmm.
See,
Hmm.
you wouldn't take up a job in something you have zero interest in. So you are in, let's say you're
Hmm.
in a job where you are like, okay, slightly interested, but you don't know if it's your true passion. Then why
Hmm.
don't you try while in that career path, why don't you try your hands at something else? This is what most people do. Like they take up a job and then they also try to prepare for UPSC, or maybe look for other
Hmm. Hmm.
options,
Hmm.
wherever they think their passion could be. So trying
Definitely.
and exploring, I think, is the only way to go about it, because nobody can tell you what your passion is. Only you have to find out. And how would you find out if you don't explore? So I
Yeah.
think the current generation, they have to, tell themselves to explore. And it's not like you cannot explore X thing while being in Y. You can always explore.
Yeah. So, what do you think is the biggest myth about success you personally broke through your journey? Like, is there any myth that you thought this was there, but you broke it after you cracking it? And
Uh, I thought since I couldn't clear the exam in 4 attempts, I would never make it to the top ranks because I just didn't have it in me
Hmm,
to reach that good rank thing. But I think doesn't even if you fail horribly at
hmm,
one attempt, you can bounce back equally
hmm,
well in the second
hmm,
attempt. So
hmm,
in one of my previous attempts, I was like 100 marks away from my cutoff in
hmm,
mains, which was
hmm,
huge.
hmm,
And yet, just another attempt later, I was
hmm,
there at rank 3.
hmm.
So that kind of it's like you can fail however badly you want, but you can
Right.
bounce back.
So, like a mindset thing where you
Yes,
should believe that you are the best and just
correct.
do
So
it.
when the result PDF had come, I wasn't even looking at the top sheet
Hmm,
because I
hmm,
knew I wouldn't.
hmm,
That was not where I should find
hmm.
look for my name. So I
Yeah.
immediately went to that search option and I entered my name. So when I
Hmm.
entered my name, I just happened to look diagonally and then I found my name at third.
At the top.
Huh,
Oh, yeah.
that that kind of thing. You can. It's okay to fail.
Right.
You learn from that failure and you'll bounce back equally well. It's like it's totally like you should normalize failure.
Yeah. Also, do you think your analytical mindset, because you're an engineer, did help you, or what role did it play in UPSC?
It helped me very late. I I looked at this like it was only after my third attempt that I
Hmm.
tried to look at things objectively. Like what the hell is going on? Like why am I not clearing it?
Right.
So which is when I took a very objective things and I tried to constantly think of how can I increase my marks.
Hmm.
This was my only objective. How to
Hmm.
increase my marks? How to increase my marks?
Hmm.
And this time since I picked a new optional anthropology, I wanted to make sure that I was not committing any mistakes that I committed with geography.
Okay.
This was my part of being analytical, I would say. And also I actively looked for better ways of revising
Right.
things like
Right.
spaced repetition. It's a
Okay.
technique of revision where
Right.
you like when you read something for the first time, it stays in your memory for some days and then it gradually wanes away. Before it
Correct.
completely is gone from your memory, you intercept and make another revision
Right.
so that once again you re-establish your memory
Right.
and you do the same thing again.
Right.
By the time you do it for the third time, it's strongly established in your memory.
So it's like a studied habit.
Correct. Yes, you can. It's a very well-known study. It's called space repetition.
Hmm.
And second thing, there's this technique called active recall. This helped me a lot. So generally,
Okay.
what would we think? How does one revise? Most of us would revise by looking at our notes, let's say. If
Correct.
we're doing modern India, we would read our short notes. This is very passive kind of recall. What is
Hmm.
revision? Nothing but recall. We are forcing our
Right.
brain to recall. But
Okay.
we are doing it very passively because the answer is right in front of us. We are just telling our memory to just go through it and then remember. But this is proven to be least effective when it comes to revision.
Hmm.
So what I followed instead was a active recall. So
Hmm.
whatever content that you want to revise, it should be in the form of questions. Let's say
Hmm.
you want to revise modern India for prelims, let's say. For that
Hmm.
part, let's say
Hmm.
national movement,
Hmm.
and you need to revise national movement. You have two options. You can open your short notes and read through this national movement, or
Hmm.
the second option is you gather some 50 questions on national movement for prelims. You
Hmm.
go through each of them. Since
Hmm.
you had already read once,
Hmm.
something or the other will be there in your memory. So
Yeah.
now you force your brain to recall based on that.
Hmm.
So that's
Hmm.
the active recall. So you thing. It's like taking a test, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the logic of practice tests. No, they are a form of revision. They reinforce your memory. They reinforce your
So it's
revision.
like you write the heading and you try to recall whatever you remember from the topic.
Correct. So it's difficult to recall by ourselves. No, so you use a set of questions.
Correct.
50 MCQ questions. From that, you try to recall. You may not recall everything, but
Yeah.
you're at least forcing your brain to recall. No?
Recall.
Once you have done it and you're not able to recall, then you can look at the answer.
Correct.
That
Correct.
way, neural, that connection, I feel, is strongly established.
Correct. Correct.
This is active recall method, and this is the logic behind all the practice tests that we do. Why do we do it? We can just
Right.
keep on revising, no?
Yeah,
Same.
but it's endless.
Why,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Why to like take the test? It's not effective. Passive recall. This is the active recall. I used active recall extensively, whether it's for prelims. In fact, between my prelims and mains, if I have to like, I used to divide days for subjects and etc. I would, let's say if I'm doing society part, so I would sit with some 10-15 questions on society part. This could be from previous year's questions or some other coaching questions or whatever. I would
Hmm.
try to sit and brainstorm on those questions.
Correct.
And then I would realize my own gaps. Okay, this is something I should cover, that is something I should cover.
Right.
And accordingly, I used to fill those gaps. So
Right.
it's just that time between prelims and mains, it is only to fill those gaps in your memory
Memory. So it's like honestly trying to test yourself.
and working on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people think only since they're taking practice tests between prelims and mains, that's enough. But that's not enough. Even in your preparation, even your revision should be
Hmm.
active. It should be
Right.
deliberate. It should be active. You should be forcing your mind
Right.
to recall things. So it should
Right.
never be passive. Your entire
Right.
preparation, as long as you keep it passive, first it gets very boring, and second, your like your neural network
Thing
which
is, yeah.
triggers, it's not reinforced.
Yeah.
So active recall is something that I
So
follow.
spaced revision is also like 15 days, 15 days, 15 days.
First time I would do it for 7 days, and then second revision would be on like 10 days, and third revision on 15th day, something like that.
So planning this is again like a hectic thing, right?
You
Each
can
thing.
use a Excel sheet or Google
Right.
spreadsheet. I used to have this extensive Google spreadsheet where
Right.
I map everything. It's very interesting. This is what makes the preparation interesting, no?
Interesting. Yeah, that's fair.
Going about it.
Right. So we have some rapid fire questions. That's some fun thing. First one is, what book do you recommend? One non-fiction and one fiction book for everyone to read.
I uh, I generally don't read non fiction.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it, recently I read a book called Fountainhead.
Fountainhead.
Yes, it's a beautiful book. It's about, individuality.
Hmm.
It's standing up and sticking to what you to your
Hmm.
values, even
Hmm.
in a world that constantly challenges the same.
Yeah.
Beautiful book that I
Individual.
just recently.
Hmm.
And other than that, Selfish Gene is one of my all-time favorite books.
Okay. Right. The next question is, are you like a coffee person or are you like a tea person?
Both. I don't have a preference.
Right. So I just remembered one question. Did you used to get 8 hours of proper sleep throughout your preparation? How much did that help you?
Yes, sleep is very important. I would try to get 8 hours of sleep for sure.
Right.
But sometimes because of anxiety or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
sleep
yeah.
will not be like quality sleep, but that's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
I noticed like if you work out for an hour each
Hmm.
day, play
Hmm.
sports or do something, then the quality of sleep was better.
Better. Right.
But you should try to get 8 hours of sleep at any point in life, I feel.
Are you like a morning person or are you like a night owl?
Completely morning person. I used to start my like preparation routine from 6:30 in the morning.
Okay. Right.
6:37, so that I would get a good stretch by 2 o'clock.
Right. Right.
And in the afternoon, I would study for like 3 or 3.5 hours. And in the evening, I used to go for sports. And after that, there's very little that I would study. Maybe
Right.
if there's something that I have to remember,
Right.
revising
Right.
those and all, very
Right.
like things that don't require you to put a lot
Right.
of
So like a revision time.
correct.
Right. One more question is IAS or IPS if you had to choose again, which one would you choose?
I uh, Same thing. I guess I would choose
Perfect. So, one word to describe UPSC. One word.
UPS in the sense the exam.
The exam. Yeah. One word
See,
to describe.
uh, not one word, but it it's something that you should figure out for yourself.
Hmm. Hmm.
Different for different persons.
Hmm.
So it's your
Hmm.
it's like you're talking to yourself while trying
Right.
to understand this exam.
Right.
I
Right.
experienced some of the most intense emotions that I had ever experienced while I was engaging with the UPSC exam.
Right.
But for some others, it could be very easy,
Easy.
very simple. So it gives you that, I would say,
Hmm.
freedom.
Hmm.
It's really very internalized, very individual thing.
Right.
We
Right.
think of it as an all India exam, but in my opinion, it's something very, very personal and, individualistic thing.
So that's what would you like till now you said is that does that same thing apply in life also? Like you should figure out like what you
Yes.
talked about fountainhead and all individuality that what
Correct.
sticks to you sticks to you, right?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
always like self-inquiry,
Hmm.
self like struggle,
Hmm.
and then self-realization.
Yeah, fair one. And we
There are
would
certain questions from
yeah,
the students there.
yeah, yeah, we
Before
can
that, I have one or two questions actually.
Please.
So these optional subjects, say anthropology and optional subjects, that did it help you in your thinking process or is it just for marks?
No, it was just for marks. I had
Okay.
taken geography thinking it would help me with mains and blah blah blah. But none of that worked out. Anthropology I picked strictly because based on my calculations, it was going to give me the maximum marks.
Okay. Okay. And so it is, so your current role must be so much rules based, isn't it? So many rules that you will have to follow as part of it. And probably it is like walking on glass. So many times it is like that. So anytime would you be allowed to take decisions based on kindness or any emotion? Would you allow it to come during your decision making process?
I've had very less experience so far to give a satisfying answer to that question. But I never felt that whatever the rules that I'm following stop me from being kind or empathetic. I never felt that. It didn't come to me until now, at least.
Okay, okay. And in this world of AI, like things have changed after you have cracked UPSC with the chat GPT and so many things have come into picture. From your circles, you must be knowing so many things. Did the preparation change now?
I think it should change. Now you have better tools to help you with the preparation. So I'll give you a small example. When I was writing my answers, mains answers, I decided based on like I was analyzing a lot of topper copies, and then I made a list of 10 things that I found commonly across these people, like across these copies, and I wanted to replicate in mine. This is something could be like good introduction, good conclusion, having a figure right below, like a small schematic or diagram or whatever, very simple and below the introduction, writing in point format, presenting that in if you look at any of my papers, I write my answers in a very specific form, like presentation style, and giving example for every point that I write. So these are some of the pointers I had made. This is not something I came up with. When I was going through different topper copies, I try to understand like what is the common denominator. Like why is that these people cleared and these not even cleared? Why is it these people scored more marks than me? So a list of 10 things that I came up with. And as I was like preparing, I would work on all this. Like I had introductions and conclusions for all syllabus topics beforehand, no matter what question they asked. But if it was from that syllabus topic, I had the introduction and conclusion to write. And also I needed a schematic. So I would sit and like think about schematics or copy from topic copies, etc. Let's say if there's SHG, so I would make a triangle which says women, rural economy, and something here, like social empowerment, something. So I would sit and laboriously like think through that. Now you can ask ChatGPT to make a simple schematic. Can you give me a good simple schematic that will impress whoever is checking my paper? It is
Maybe
giving
soon.
beautiful schematic. So I think it should evolve. You should use the tools that are with
Correct,
you.
correct,
It can generate so many practice questions.
correct,
So when I was preparing, I had only uh, I PYQs for practice, but after a point you'll exhaust them
correct.
because there's no point going 20 years back in time and looking at those PYQs. I believe like last 7 to 6 years, 6 7 years PYQs is good enough. And then I wanted equal quality UPSC quality questions, but I couldn't find it in most of the coaching. So but now ChatGPT will give you, if you load these questions into ChatGPT and say same standard, same something, I want 10 more questions. So like you should, like aspirants should totally use ChatGPT.
Yeah. Maybe slowly the questioning itself will change because of these tools and everybody's acing it. The question might probably, yeah.
Mhm.
There is few more
Before
questions.
going to student questions, I have one question. If
Okay.
not UPSC or civils, what is your favorite option, Umarati?
So after my third attempt, I was like, okay, I need to have a plan B, and that is when I tried to like think about other things to do. So I worked part time in a ed tech platform, but I did not really see myself as a good teacher. So that was out. And then I was interested in nutrition and business related to nutrition. So I had enrolled myself in a course related to just to understand nutrition better so that I would have options there. And I also started training to be a yoga teacher. So I would say maybe yoga teacher or a nutritionist or nutri business person.
All right. Yeah. I think Jashwant, you can pick some questions from the chat. Best of the questions. I think a lot of questions has been in chat and you can ask Uma.
Yeah, one
Hello.
question is saying is what are the key elements that make an answer fetch maximum marks?
In my understanding, like there are very specific things. Whoever is preparing should look
Hello.
at topper
Yeah.
copies, a lot of topper copies, and try to understand what is it all these toppers have written in common. Based on my assessment, I noticed good introduction. Like by reading that introduction, the whoever is checking should feel like giving you 1 mark for that introduction. Good conclusion. What is a good conclusion? What is a good introduction? You may not know. Look into topper copies. They use some facts. Something is there. Some key point. They may use, let's say, some UN forum or some what do you say, uh, tagline, etc., etc. Good introduction, good conclusion, a schematic in the answer, writing in point format. Every point, it should be short. The point should be short, but substantiated with an example or a fact. Otherwise, your point is pointless unless you substantiate with an example or facts. These are some of the things, and you should, whatever the space UPSC is giving, I think you should fill that space, not leave it. So these are some of the things that you should have.
Okay, so that question was from Shiva, and there is a question again from Shiva. Or
Uh,
okay, shall you can pick the questions otherwise. Yeah.
do we need to go to coaching or can we prepare ourselves? Completely up to you. You can do it both ways. So the people have taken support of coaching and cleared it. People have completely done it on their own. I myself couldn't benefit much from coaching, but I did better when I was preparing on my own. It basically, preparing on your own gives you opportunity to own up the process and be more responsible, I feel. Why didn't you prepare for groups? I did prepare for groups. I even made notes, everything. I was just waiting for the exam, but then this result came. Geography. Okay, how to avoid distractions? I think if you keep social media away and be disciplined. Please be disciplined. Have some techniques to study how to increase. I used to always search how to increase my productivity. YouTube, there's so many people giving so much gyan on YouTube. How to increase productivity, how to plan your preparation, reading times, study times. So think I would even like, there are some videos on YouTube called Study With Me. If I feel like I'm getting distracted, I used to sit with those videos and study. Um, BTech, I'm stuck goals and the placements. See, BTech student third year stuck between goals and placements. These are not mutually exclusive. You can take up the job that if you think you should be employed and you should be working, you can continue to do that while also prepare for this exam or whatever goal that you may be having. You can explore that. How to start preparation for UPSC and some tips for beginners. The biggest tip or biggest thing that I can tell you is, please understand this exam, understand the syllabus, and this understanding should be like, it should be your own understanding. You can listen to a lot of people, you can listen to topper strategies, you can listen to all the gyan you get on the internet, you can listen to people like me, but ultimately all of this should condense into your own understanding of this exam. Until you have an understanding of this exam and a strategy how to go about it, and a strategy in which you should have confidence first. If this is there, then you start preparing. Without this, do not start preparing just based on what somebody is saying or etc. So be very responsible, because if you are not very clear and responsible, you will waste a lot of time. Like, I unfortunately let several like 2 3 years go waste because I did not do this process before starting. Degree is enough. Yeah.
I saw one of the students asking, how do you get better with your English vocabulary, ma'am? One of the
Have to
students
read one newspaper every day.
right,
So if you keep on reading it, you'll catch. Mm, just
right.
you
So
should
it's also
also
more about conversation, right? So
correct.
like you get better
English
with
is only a language. Uh,
right.
at least UPSC doesn't judge you by the quality of your
Hmm.
English. If you're able to convey what you're thinking, if you're confident in
Hmm.
whatever you're speaking, that should be fine. And anyway, UPSC allows you to like appear for all their exams in other language also. Like in interview, at least you can speak in your
Okay.
mother tongue,
Okay.
and you already have Hindi in the prelims and mains, so it should not be a problem. See, how do you crack prelims? Like one thumb rule that worked for me in prelims is practicing a lot. I for every prelims, including my till my fifth attempt, from my first attempt, I would always solve 70 practice tests before going to the actual examination. Without writing 70 tests, I would not write the actual prelims examination. And these 70 tests would be done in a span of 2.5 to 3 months before the prelims exam. And you should plan in such a way that not only will you write these 70 tests, but each of these tests should be revised after that test day. It should be revised 2 more times, and a noting is made from each of these tests. For this also, this is this kind of spaced repetition in prelims, spaced repetition technique in the prelims. So if I write my prelims test today, let's say I picked up one test, I wrote the test today, I would obviously, after writing the test, go through the answers, analyze, etc. So my first revision done. 1 week later, I would pick up the same paper, and this time I would not write it as a test. I would go question by question to see how much I remember based on my previous thing. And okay, this is my second revision. Again, another week or 10 days later, I would pick up the same paper. Once again, I would go question by question. So this is my third revision. So even after 3 revisions, if there is something that I don't remember or which I think is important, but somehow it's not sticking in my memory, I would write those small points on one side of an A4 sheet paper. So in the last 10 days of before prelims, I would have this 35 papers, because 70 tests, one side each. So 35 papers. These are the only papers that I would sit and read again and again and again, because this is like the proper like filtrate of my entire prelims preparation that I need to focus on. So this was my strategy throughout, right from the first attempt till fifth attempt. This was my strategy, and this was also everything was mapped on my Google spreadsheet. When will I take my first test? When will I do its revision next? And then final revision, when will it be? And the noting. Final revision is also when you do the noting of that point. This is my only strategy for prelims. And for current affairs, only paper. Like initially I would read monthlies, this that, nothing helped. What helped me was consistently reading one newspaper for an hour or so. I would most of the times I would skip editorial also, because they would unnecessarily consume time. And after reading one whole editorial, you'll get like one point that you can mention in the mains. It's just not worth it. So whenever you're reading newspaper or anything, you should be like, okay, if I read this, what will I do with it? Will I be able to utilize in the exam or not? Most of the opinion pieces, most of the editorials, you simply do not have anything to actually put in the exam. So why waste your time? So be very ruthless. If I'm reading something, then I should be using it somewhere. If I know that I won't be able to use this so much of verbose article, then don't read it.
I saw a question from one of the students. Also, it's a bit of mine. So when in interview and all, when they ask you about, is it your opinion that you have to give, or does it have to be from an objective point of view?
What?
In the
Things
interviews
are
and all.
not objective, no? A lot of things that happen around us are not objective.
Right.
There is no like
Yeah.
binary
But
approach towards them. So if
huh.
yes, you are
So
expected to give your opinion or your understanding,
hmm,
and
right.
keep it balanced. By balanced, you mean you're
Yeah.
thinking from the perspective of all the stakeholders, and
Huh.
give a
That's what I.
balanced
Huh.
answer. Show your ability to think from multiple stakeholders' point of view and put forward a balanced answer.
Hmm.
I think that is an important what is a skill in decision making. When you're taking any decision, it affects a lot of stakeholders. So are you able to
Yeah.
think from the perspective of all and come with some kind of a balanced approach? This,
Solution.
my understanding is, this is what is important.
Hmm.
There will be many days where you'll feel unmotivated, you'll feel insecure, overwhelmed. Like there will be many such days. It's okay, you just push through those days, and push through in the sense, you try to study how much ever you can in the day. Don't target 12 hours on that particular day. Even on those days, if you can pull in like 3-4 hours to maintain that discipline that you told you'll maintain for yourself, that is enough. And you should remember that you're not alone. There are a lot of aspirants who are feeling the same thing, and there are a lot of people who cleared now, like me. I may have cleared, but I went through those same days. So it's not new, and you're not alone. And it's a very human feeling, emotion to have, and you should find your ways of dealing it. But you should always remember you're not alone, and it's not a permanent phase or feeling. And people who cleared it went through same emotions, same feelings. So
Hmm.
that should be.
Somebody asked Uma Harti whether going to coaching center is compulsory or no.
Not necessary. Like I said, see, I have known people who cleared this exam like through different approaches. Some went to coaching, some never went to coaching, cleared in their first go. Some went to coaching and could
Hmm.
never clear it, and like they exhausted their attempts. So it's completely up to you. But whatever choice you make, it should be out of thinking. Like, you should have thought through that. It should be a deliberate choice. You shouldn't go to coaching just because somebody said you should go to coaching. And you should not sit and prepare at home just because I sat and prepared at home. It should be based on your own assessment. Do you need coaching support, or at what stage do you need, or are you confident that you will be able to, figure it out on your own? And most of us can figure it out on our own if we put our minds to it. Somehow this uh, the whole mahal is like, it's this is a very big thing, and that we can't figure it out on our own. But if you give some time, if you're patient with yourself, we are all intelligent enough to figure it out for ourselves and chart our own strategy to clear this exam.
Manikesh is asking which part was the toughest for you, prelims, mains, or interview?
Mains was the toughest because that is where I really struggled to score good marks.
So I think any other important questions here?
Personal resources and strategies. What's your plan if you wanted to attempt again? I just shared my prelim strategy. Even if I'm writing prelims this year, I would follow the exact same strategy. And I also told you that you should focus on syllabus points, PYQ, syllabus, PYQ. These are the only true guides that you have in this preparation. There is no third guide, syllabus and PYQs. If you get a hang of these two, then everything will be under your control. And there is no particular book. Like, you can read from a book, you can just read from the internet, or you can ask ChatGPT to give you a write up on that topic. Anything is fine. But at the end of the day, you should be able to understand the topic. Give me a 200 words write up on, or be able to answer the PYQs. So that's it. That is the only strategy you should have.
Dhanalakshmi has asked, what was the first step that you have taken for the preparation?
My first steps were all wrong steps. You shouldn't want to know those steps. But please read the syllabus. Listen to topper talks. But go through the syllabus, go through the PYQs.
Somebody is asking if I don't understand this. Probably popular among people who are preparing for UPSC. Mentorship or coaching, which is the best one?
I'm not sure what is the difference, but I mean, if you have, see, at the end of the day, if you have somebody supporting you through your journey, and that support is in the right direction, taking you towards clearing the exam, it's good. You can call it anything you want, but if it's a support and that support is in the right direction, you should not be afraid of it.
Udayasagar Reddy is asking, could we balance job and UPSC preparation simultaneously?
Yes, definitely. A lot of my batchmates have cleared while on a very important job, which takes considerable amount of their time. In fact, I feel having a job makes you be more objective with respect to the preparation. You wouldn't waste your time on useless things, because now you have very less time and you have to utilize that time in the most efficient way possible. So you will constantly look for those ways. So it's not at all an issue. You can have a job and prepare for the exam. Many have done it. Just make sure that you plan your time well.
And somebody is a stage is asking, how did you prepare both for UPSC and groups?
Actually, I prepared for UPSC, prepared for groups in between. Like, I had given my interview, I think, and then I was waiting for my result. So there was a significant amount of gap. In that gap, I was going mad waiting for the result. So one thing I could do and divert my energy was towards groups, which is why I focused on groups.
It was different
Yes,
timelines. Okay.
correct. Largely different. When I was preparing for UPSC, UPSC was my first priority.
And one question from Rinku, what was the toughest unexpected question you faced in the interview?
There were no tough or unexpected questions. It was a very like it was conversation, like how we are having a conversation. It was never to make me uncomfortable, or I don't know, I didn't feel like I was being put on something and grilled. It was a conversation, and it was a very like frank and open conversation about the topics that they picked. There were no tough questions at all.
Okay, so Jasmine is asking, I'm in third year BTech. Do you think we can manage both college and UPSC? Um,
Definitely, definitely you can.
Definitely because they don't study, in fact, actually, in college.
Mhm. So you can plan your time well, and it is like totally doable. In fact, I feel I should have done that when I was in college.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, students, there are so many questions. Mhm. Reading through YouTube because most of the discuss on somebody's asking on behalf of Telugu people. Chandu is asking whether YouTube is a good resource. Should we follow the YouTube videos? That's
Uh,
Chandu.
so see, the problem of too many, I think it's called something. There are like too many resources now. So pick the right resources. See, whether something is a good source or not. See, at the end of the day, you should link it to your syllabus topic. Let's say there is some topic in my syllabus that I'm not able to understand, despite reading in a couple of places, then you can of course go through YouTube and see if somebody is explaining it well. If they have explained it well according to you and you have understood it, then fine. If you have not understood it halfway through it, just leave it. But it's very difficult to say this is a good resource on YouTube and this isn't. It's for some topics, like in anthropology. When I was preparing in anthropology, there are a lot of uh, what do you say, biology and genetics related concepts. Being from engineering background, I did not have much idea on those, but then there are these beautiful animated videos on YouTube through which you easily understand these concepts much in a much better way than you would otherwise from a textbook. So for those topics, I would only rely on YouTube thing, and even for world history. So world history is such a massive subject, and you would get like maybe one or zero questions each year from world history. So what I used to do is all major world history events like World War II, World War III, or unification of Germany, unification of Italy. So I made a list of 20 topics. These topics were largely based on PYQs and also major potential questions that could come. So for these 20 questions are nothing but 20 events in world history. So for these, I used to watch 2-minute videos. So World War One explained in 2 minutes, World War Two explained in. So I would watch one video once or twice, and whatever I understand from that video, I used to note down, and that's it. Now I'm not going to go beyond it because the amount of effort you put in world history will not be proportionate. Like the output will not be proportionate to the amount of in work you put in. So in such cases, YouTube is very helpful to condense and give you that short content that you need. So you should use whatever you want to use. But at the end of the day, you should have clarity on that topic.
I have a
La-
doubt, ma'am.
Last, okay, he has a
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah. So, do you think the more prepared you are, the less fear you have before an exam or for this exam especially, or
So
both?
it's not like, I think, even though you cannot escape that fear, exam
Hmm.
fear, it will be
Hmm.
there no matter how much you prepare, because you never know
Hmm.
whether, see, you can pick a good strategy, you can work on it
Hmm.
diligently, but you still don't know if that is in fact what is going to help you clear the exam. So there
Hmm.
will always be that fear. But
Hmm.
if you set your own strategy, if you set your own goals
Hmm.
and stick to them, work in a disciplined way, you will be more confident.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think you can never get rid of that fear, but you can develop a little bit confidence.
Confidence. Hmm.
One last question, Maharti. So somebody is asking Uday Sagar Reddy. He's saying he visited so many interview mocks. Um, is the real interview same or is it different? That's his question.
Actually, it's not the same. The real interview, I found it more comfortable. It was more of a conversation. than a question answer mode. And so it's really not the same. Although attending mock interviews gives you a sense of what, like, we are generally not used to sitting in front of six people and then taking questions from them and answering. This setup is very alien to us. We don't come across this on a day-to-day basis. Mock interviews, you get yourself familiarized with that idea. So that will help you remain, unperturbed in that actual interview setting.
Well, so I said that last we took significant time of yours, which is very precious. Thank you so much.
Thank you
And
so much, ma'am.
Thank
it's
you.
really,
Thank you.
really
Hi.
great knowing so many things. And I'm sure all these students will really benefit from the tips that you have given for them on how to prepare for it. Thank you so much, Uma Bharti, for coming onto this platform. As I said, this will be reaching more students, almost 10,000 students to 20,000 students. It will be reaching the video. Okay, thank you once
Yeah.
again.
Thank
I
you.
felt there was a lot of patience, purpose, and persistence in your journey. So, yeah, really inspiring.
Thank you so much, and thank you for
Thank you.
inviting me. For whoever is watching this video, just believe that you will figure it out. You will figure it out on your own. Stay consistent, stay disciplined, and be kind to yourself. So that way you'll move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.